He was proclaimed the best young talent in the game in 2001, but when the curtain came down on his career 12 years later, the one-time rising star was seen as a man who never reached his destiny, despite his best endeavours. Welcome, Justin Koschitzke. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think it probably is. Got off to a good start and, yeah, probably never reached the heights of everybody's expectation, but I still fulfilled, I think, what I set out to do, bar playing a premiership side, I reckon.
You like to say that you scratched together 200 games, but you can't actually do that, can you? I mean, that's a lot of games in the toughest sport in the country.
Yeah, it's a lot of footy, but certainly had to work for it, and very proud of the fact that I got there, absolutely.
I want to read you a quote, Justin, from one of the rare stories in the print media from you. It was a story by Sam Lane in The Age in 2013, and it says, "I've got a dirt bike that I just can't wait to flog the shit out of. I want to feel the adrenaline of just going really hard and not caring if I fall off it or not." Can I look at you forward? Can you just peel that hair back a bit?
You got a bit of a war wound there.
What happened, mate?
Fell off the dirt bike.
I got a sense that you actually were proud that you did. You almost give...
Well, the first thing I thought of, I've bit the dust and I'm like, got to go and talk to Mike on Tuesday or whatever it was. That's not going to look real good on the camera.
Been an interesting journey, hasn't it? From you started at St Kilda, the rising star, in the same year that Riewoldt came into the competition.
Yep.
Lots of people, including me, have written things along the way that you never quite got to the standards that we expected. Now, I don't know, when you come into football, you're not expecting to do anything, I suspect, other than hope to play some games. But you're entitled to be proud of your career. What is the big frustration for you?
The easy thing to say is that injury held me back. That's the easy cop-out, but I think the thing that's frustrated me the most was never be able to get myself to be consistent. You know, I think at certain stages in my career, you know, I could mix it with the best and prepare and be elite, but I just think over the journey I struggled for that consistency of preparation and sustaining a level week in, week out to be able to do that. I think that's the frustration now. You know, there's nothing you can do about it now. It's been gone, and you know, I can't go back out and play. But you know, as I said, saying that I was injury riddled would be the easy cop out. But I think the truth is that I just wasn't consistently able to, for I don't know what reason, to looking back on it now, to be able to prepare as good as the elite players.
Well, the first year you played 20 games. You go into your second season, you're full of optimism, you're still a skinny kid, but you'd made a huge impact. Then you hurt your knee in a pre-season practice game. You get to start the season and then you hurt your back. And from then on it's been a story, hasn't it? A sort of interruption, lots of injuries along the way, and sort of probably not having the capacity to play a full season.
Yeah, I was probably quite fortunate to go into a bad side. We were a bad side, 2001, you know, with a few tools, having injuries. So I was probably fortunate to get a game. I don't think, you know, I might not have played if I was drafted to a top side. So I was fortunate enough to get senior footy straight away and play 20 in a row. And I think that did have an impact on my body. And as you said, I was a raw 18-year-old skinny kid that wasn't up to the rigours of AFL footy. And now the clubs are so much more prepared with their medicos and their sports science and whatever, not to allow that to happen with fatigue to the younger players.
Kosy, why were you so reluctant to engage with the media during your career? I mean, I think all journos, I was one then, we'd made a dozen attempts to get in front of you and sit down and talk to you, but you were always evasive. What was that?
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the media early days, and you know, being in front of a camera or whether it be whatever it was, I felt really comfortable with it. And I suppose I got reluctant because I just didn't feel like I had the runs on the board to have an opinion or be seen behind the camera. And I think, you know, I suppose everybody was a very harsh critic of what I was doing, but I was probably my harshest, you know, my own worst enemy, and the pressure I put on myself. You know, whether it be injury or whether I wasn't performing at the level, I just felt like I just basically just didn't have the runs on the board to be seen having a comment.
That stretch in 2005, 4 or 5 games, you're playing centre half forward, Nick Riewoldt's injured. You sort of were almost Carey-like in that period.
Oh, I did enjoy it. No question about that. I think every player goes through a bit of a patch where they, it's almost like a bit of an invincible feeling on the ground where you can't do much wrong, and I just had one of those patches for a month.
It's a roller coaster ride for anyone who's connected with St Kilda, isn't it? I mean, I suppose you got that close to winning 1 and perhaps 2 premierships, but the club needed to pinch one of those, didn't they? The view about St Kilda would be so different if there'd been a premiership in that period. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that's what the whole industry's about, and that's why it is the toughest comp in the world, isn't it? That I've no doubt, and I'd like your opinion, like being one of the AFL experts, is that St Kilda was clearly the best side. We were the best side in the 09 season. Yep. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. Yep. Well, you lost 3 games?
We lost 3 games for the year by a total of under 20 points or whatever, and one of them was the grand final.
Yep.
And I'm not taking anything away from Geelong, and absolute deserving winner, and we punched on all that year. The famous mid-year we were both undefeated.
Yeah.
What a game for everybody involved and to watch. And then the grand final was just a war of attrition, wasn't it? It was just record number of tackles in the wet. It went down to the wire. And unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, nobody remembers who comes second, and you're the Premier, Geelong are the Premier and will be forever, and we missed it out. So, and then next year to draw it, you can't get any closer, and still very, very proud of what that group achieved to get that close, and, to be 26 points down in the drawn grand final, and seemingly be out of it. And I think everybody had us out of the game.
Look at that, mate. I mean, that's one of the most graphic photos from any game of football that I can remember. You and your mate, Rui, and just the pain of a loss on grand final day.
Yeah, well, look. Yeah, look.
What, did you remember the dialogue?
Yeah, it's painful to look at that.
Yeah.
And then remember
what did you say to him?
What we were feeling. Oh, I can't remember what we were saying, but I think that's just, when's that, 09?
Yeah, 09.
First one.
Yep.
So that's, I don't know, I think that's probably 2 kids coming in and putting 9 years of work in for that moment to miss out by whatever it was, a kick. It was anyone at any level that's played in a losing grand final and know the effort, the mental and physical effort that it gets to get there over a 9 or 10 year period. I think that just probably sums up the emotion of how it feels.
While we're talking about Nick Riewoldt, tell me your view of him. You've played alongside him and you've seen him play his entire career, and he's in brilliant form this year. Tell me what your appraisal of Riewoldt the footballer is.
It's really hard to sum it up, isn't it, quickly, but just I think his mental ability and his ability to focus on something and get what he wants is second to none. It's he's just so driven to get what he wants, and he'll stop at nothing to get that result almost. And he's a very modest person, but I know deep down that he wants to go down as one of the game's greats, which he will.
Yep.
As you said, I've had the privilege of being front row seats and have the best seat in the house to watch him go around for 13 years. And to watch him play now and defy probably his body and whatever's going on, and to lead a young side and give them an example of what he's given now is just, I'll watch and just am extremely proud of what he can do. We
love comparisons, journos. Where does he sit amongst the best players that you've seen?
Well, the game's changed a lot, hasn't it, since the 90s. I love the 90s footy.
You were born to play.
Yeah, I love Carey and Dunstall, and they were all my heroes, these sort of guys. And, something I wish that I could have played in that era. Just like a traditional full forward or a ruckman that sits behind the ball, and it's probably finished me earlier than I would have liked, because the game just became so aerobic, didn't it? And all of a sudden the full forward had to run to the back 50, and, it became a game of athletics, and it's different. I remember saying to somebody, a very good footy person, one day, geez, I would have loved to play in the 90s or the 80s and be a ruckman and drop back and pack marks and whatever. And it was great advice because it actually refocused me. He said, you can't pick your era, mate. You can't change your birth date, can you?
Yeah.
You can wish everything you want, but it's not going to happen. So deal with it and deal with the changes. And the only constant in AFL footy is change, isn't it?
But the changes in the game frustrated you, didn't they? I mean, you're on record as saying that your love for the game waned, didn't it?
I just think later on, just the frustration of it, because my body just couldn't keep up with the rigours of it.
Did you actually literally lose your love for it?
Yeah.
Was it became a chore?
Yep. I reckon I knew very early last year, 2013, that I wouldn't play another season beyond last year. I just was definitely got to that stage where, you know, it was a chore to get up and go to training and try and get myself in that frame of mind to work hard enough to prepare and try and get the body through and get up for game day. I knew pretty early last year that it was all over.
I saw an interview late last year and they were talking about whether you'd go on, and you were wrestling with it and stumbling over your words, and then the finish you just said, I'm cooked.
Yeah.
And I thought it was physical as much as mental, or mental as much as physical.
Yeah. That was good because I actually just cut the bullshit out and just went, I'm done.
I'm cooked.
You know, it'd be great if we could have, you know what would be great? It'd be awesome if we could have honesty round, do you reckon, in AFL, where everybody in front of a camera, everybody out there could just say what they're thinking.
You don't think we'd like that? We'd love that.
Oh, they'd love it. It's a journo's dream.
Yeah.
Say exactly how you're feeling, what you think of the opposition, what you think of your team or where you're going. How funny would it be?
Well, Justin, you actually are in the media now, aren't you?
I've crossed to the dark side, mate.
Now, I want to know yet, this is the Rubicon for ex-footballers who go into the media. Have you yet criticised a player for something that he should have done on the field and didn't do?
I've called 3 games.
You're calling with Rex Hunt?
Calling with Rex and the AFL Live team through Croc Media. I see that sitting behind the glass is so easy to be critical, and it's almost, when you sit back and analyse it, how easy the game looks, and you can see it unfold, and it's so easy to be critical of what's going on. I just had to pull myself up a little bit and say, hang on, mate, you're out of the game 6 months. Don't forget how hard it is out there, how fast it is, how fatigued the players are, what's going through their minds, the whole lot. So I find it really hard to be critical.
Do you think you will? Do you think there's a transition period, as I've found? I've worked with lots of blokes who have been in the game and then they go into the commentary box.
Yeah.
Matty Lloyd's probably made the cleanest shift of anyone that I've worked with. I think he said, this is my future from now on, and I'm going to see it and I'm going to call it. Will you be able to do that?
I think Matty Lloyd's probably in a totally different bracket to myself, because of the elite player that he was. And I just feel like I don't want to be dishonest in what I'm calling and what I'm seeing, but I think someone like Matty Lloyd, who's kicked how many ever goals he kicked and what he did.
900 something,
Yeah, so he can obviously say, look, I've been there. What I'm talking about, I've done. You know, and I was sure I played a couple of hundred games, but I was nothing more than an average AFL player. So I find it really hard to criticise the players and what they're doing, knowing that the work that they're putting in.
Interesting mix of coaches for you. You had Malcolm Blight, didn't you, your first year?
15 rounds, 14 rounds.
Yeah. Then Grant Thomas.
Yep.
And then Tomo's bumped, and I know that at the time you were quite upset about that. And then in comes Ross Lyon, and you finish with Scotty Waters. They're all different, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a lot of... There's some very unique characters there, and certainly all different. Was the beat up around St Kilda at the end of 2000 when I was drafted there with, you know, the Messiah had come. Blighty had come on board. And then to have him sacked 14, 15 weeks in was an absolute shock. But I was an 18-year-old kid that was totally ignorant to what an AFL coach looked like, you know, and the time that they put in at the club and what was going on. So not till later on that I understood that was probably the right decision for the St Kilda Footy Club at the time.
Why was it... There's Blighty talking to the young Koschitzke there. Why was it the right decision to let him go, Justin?
Well, looking back on it and seeing the coaches that followed, Blighty, I just didn't really see him.
Yeah.
3 days a week. It was just, it was like he just wasn't there a bit. And then you compare that to Rossi. Rossi would be jumping the fence at 4 a.m. to get into his office because he's forgotten his keys.
The end of 06, Justin, you've played finals, you're eliminated by Melbourne, Tomo gets the sack. You weren't happy, were you?
At the time, no. It was, it was quite a shock, especially that you played in a final. We were beaten in a final to Melbourne and knocked out, but to have the coach sacked was quite a shock. And
So the entire playing group?
Anyone that I can vouch for, I think it was a shock, and it was unexpected. And still to the day, I don't really know the politics of what's going on behind the scenes. But Tomo probably needs the credit of putting that side and the culture and that group of people together. And then, for whatever reason, he's taken out of the picture. Rossi Lyon comes in and adds to it, puts his twist on the group, and only took us north. So
he's an unusual man, Ross, isn't he? Look, he's intense, committed.
Yep.
Tell me what your appraisal of him is.
All those are true. He's intense. He's extremely committed. I think from anybody who's probably played under him or knows him, I think he's an extremely caring person. If you give him what you've got, and if you go 100% and give him what you got, he's got your back the whole way.
When we come back, that famous collision with Daniel G and Syracuse. 2006, the Saints are playing the Western Bulldogs. You're ambling down the ground.
What happened that game?
Daniel G and Syracuse comes in at roughly 60 k's an hour and takes you out. Now, there's lots of discussion there, and I remember doing a story quoting Bernie Quinlan, the Brownlow medalist, as saying that can't happen on the football field. Yet I've heard you say that there's no culpability for Gia.
Yeah, well, it's a tough one, isn't it?
Well, there you are. There's the two of you face down on the turf with lasting problems for you. I mean, that knocked you around, that collision, didn't it?
There's no question that it took a long time.
You fractured your skull?
Yeah, it took a long time to get over, and probably still has some sort of effect on me day to day. But
right now,
I just think what I went through to get back and to get back and overcome the demons, I suppose, of being out on the ground again after that was was quite significant. Going back to your point, whether it should happen or not, it's a rough one, isn't it? I like playing physical game. I like the fact that you can block, and whether it's in the vicinity or whatever. And the argument always is, everybody, how could you have not seen him coming? I don't have eyes in the back of my head. But in saying that, I'd still go back to my preparation a little bit.
That was your second game back, wasn't it? And
how I was feeling, I reckon, on the ground at that time. And it was my second game back. I think I missed one in between, and I'd had a patella tendon operation at the end of 05. Very limited pre-season and build up, and basically no match practice and whatever, and no reserves footy, it was just straight back in. And I can remember the game, obviously before that happened, and almost feeling a bit slower than the game was going on. Look, mate, I wasn't the most agile and quickest bloke getting around at the best of times when I was fit, but I remember just being really underdone and being out there, which was probably a mistake I made to go and compete in that condition. And whether it be a mixture of that and a mixture of a little bit of awareness, because sure, I focused on the man and the ball and literally just didn't see him coming.
Have you and Gia spoken about that?
Yeah. Like, Gia's a fantastic fella.
Yeah.
And he's not malice or, I'm sure he didn't mean to go and put me on a stretcher.
No.
He was just helping his teammate out. So we had a bit of a funny day. Might wouldn't have been the end of that year. Maybe a year later, we ran into each other and our wives at the races, and having a bit of a laugh and a joke, and everyone around's like, "Oh, there's Cosy and Gia. Oh, don't headbutt him." Or
So how were the women? How were the women?
Nah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not just happened on a footy ground. And what just never ceases to make me laugh is that, and for the rest of my career, everybody on there is, "Oh, don't run into anything." It's like, who's writing your material, mate? I've heard that a couple of times. Like, seriously.
A couple of hundred, yeah.
Surely you got a bit more intelligence to come up with something like that.
Well, the serious issue that came out of that was the question about your peripheral vision. Was that valid?
Well, I don't know. If you've got no peripheral vision, I can't see how you can play AFL, any footy, let alone AFL footy. Maybe it's clearly down on the elite players, and some seem to have time and move around, and might not have been as good as others. But I think in that instance, I clearly felt like I wasn't prepared to be out there, which was a mistake I made. In saying that, if the ball was in the air, it didn't worry me what was around.
No.
Like I can, and I think a lot of players do it, that it doesn't matter what's around, you go at the ball and you catch the ball. It's the best feeling on the footy ground, isn't it?
Yeah.
Running as hard as you can into a pack.
Oblivious to who's around you.
Oblivious and not caring what's around, and then feeling that contact and lying on the ground with the ball in your hand and seeing other people lying on the ground. To me, that was the best feeling.
You did enjoy that, didn't you? Just crash, blokes coming from...
The best feeling I could have on a footy ground. It's almost like I'd get up and you feel like just throwing it at someone else to kick the goal, like whatever. It was just...
You've done the hard part.
That feeling of flying into a pack and letting it smack into your hands was good.
You come back after the big clash with Gia and you're playing a helmet. You didn't enjoy that, did you?
No.
Why not?
Not one bit. Looking back on a very silly decision that I made, I think it hindered me more than anything going forward. I think the mental scars that put me through was more detrimental to me going forward than... I think every player out there wants to be out there for their teammates and wants to be out there competing again. You make a decision with your heart, pardon the pun, not your head. And I definitely thought I did that. And it was...
So you're saying you shouldn't have played or you shouldn't have worn the helmet?
Well, I was probably physically fit to play, and probably didn't even need the helmet. That was just probably a bit of reinforcement. But it was a very lonely feeling to run up the race. I don't know, just from knowing what happened and not being really confident in what was going on. I still don't really understand the hysteria around it and the coverage that it got from the media. And
this is the collision you're talking about?
Yeah, well, after that, and then when I came back and, played the twos and... That
was when you ran into the umpire, wasn't it?
Knocked my teeth out on the umpire's head.
Yeah.
And, just the things that were going on, it was just like... And
then the television appearance?
Yeah, and it just sort of made me doubt myself on the ground. And the worst thing you want in your head is doubt when you go and play.
Particularly because your natural style is just to see ball, get ball.
Almost felt like this rawness I'd lost this raw feeling just to go at the ball and not worry about what's coming or the consequences of it. And, that's what made you compete, I suppose. So to come back and play was almost like there was something in the back of my mind going, where's the next thing coming from, or who's going to hit me, or where's it coming from? It was almost like I made something more than what it was. So
what happened on the TV, the Sports World interview? David Schwartz is interviewing you, correct, on Channel 7. You're standing up, and you collapsed.
Just run down.
That's all.
Yeah, just with all.
Nothing to do with the knock to the head.
Well, I think it was all just a bit of everything, with the knock and the balance and the fractured eardrum and just run down over it all.
Scotty Wallace, the decision to move him on that the club made at the end of 2013, right or wrong?
I think it's the right decision now.
Why?
I just think you can see that the playing group has so much more focus and direction, and the effort that they're going to is a lot more clear. Yeah.
Was he always going to give you your 200th game? There was some speculation that we're guessing, you know. Were you always going to play your 200th game late last year?
No, I didn't know. That was it came right down to the end till I found out for sure. He didn't say anything, and he said at the end that it was always going to happen, but I have heard along the line that maybe it wasn't, and that some people behind the scenes lent on him a little bit.
You're obviously proud of the fact that you're a one-club player and that there's a clear love for you for St Kilda. But you nearly went to Sydney, didn't you? Johnny Longmire had been your manager at IMG.
Yep.
And then joined the Swans. So at the same time, there's the crossover. Longmire leaves IMG, goes to Sydney, and then it starts getting into your ear, correct?
Well, he didn't get into my ear. There was no.
Did they make you a 5-year offer?
Yeah, it was a significant offer at the end of 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And we certainly sat down and discussed it, and it had to be looked at.
How significant is significant in dollar terms?
It's pretty healthy. I probably wouldn't need to be doing this interview.
Are you getting paid for this, are you?
Of course I am.
So it was close, but how close?
Look, it was close enough to have a contract drawn up, and
really,
yeah, and to have a decent look at it. Yeah, saw it on paper, and this is where you could go if you wanted to.
What swayed you to reject it?
I wanted to play in a flag at St Kilda, and I felt incredible loyalty to the playing group and the people that I'd come through with, and I knew a couple of the other guys that also had carrots dangled and had turned it down, and I was hell-bent on achieving something special with that group in those colours and with the Saints. And I think that's just one of the things why you see that photo of Rue and I after the grand final. It's 9 years worth of work and effort to get to that moment when it didn't eventuate.
Hey, Kossi, I've been one of the media people that has had some negative things to say about you over the journey, but I can say in all sincerity, I've loved the way you've played your footy and the way you've wanted to just play it in its purest sense. You're entitled to be very proud of 200 games and your finals appearances, and you've given us plenty of highs along the way, so well done, mate.
Thanks, mate. Good on you.
This has been a Fox Footy production for Fox Sports.